Well, big highball hello to all the model railroaders and rail fans out there, and welcome to October 2024's edition of the Central Division. Hey, hope everyone's enjoying the fall season. I know here in Arkansas land, that brutal summer heat is gone. There's actually been a couple of nights I've had to turn on the heater, which is definitely just kind of a nice change of pace. And something about the fall, I know for us model railroaders, it's the time of year that we spend more time on the layout, working on the layout, running the layout, having people over, the operating sessions and things like that. And me included, the last update that I did, showing you some areas that unfortunately I had to tear up to make some improvements and to fix problems, as well as some industry changes and new industries going in. So this update, we're past the destruction mode, and we'll show you kind of the progress that I've made, including a feed mill that I'm rather proud of. Before we get started though, I do want to give a shout out to one of my YouTube buddies, Kurt Berg. He has a really nice Chicago Northwestern HO scale layout, and I've put the link down there so you can go and check that out. And the last update that I did, Kurt actually posted a comment asking if I could do a panoramic view to give an idea of what the overall layout looks like, how everything is kind of laid out. So Kurt, I will definitely be doing that for you as well as my other viewers out there. So let's go ahead and get started. So in my last update, I'd shown you where I had to tear out this section here. And so basically what was happening is the old turnout was roughly in this area here. And so what was happening is trains coming in this direction. It was a smooth transition until the track joined the turnout, and there was a little bit of, I guess for lack of better description, a bump. So what can happen is if the coupler height wasn't perfect in cars, you would have a set of cars that would become uncoupled and roll back. And of course, usually that never happened unless I had people over operating the layout. That's when it's going to happen. So it became just annoying. I was like, okay, I've got to fix this. Although I hate tearing stuff up that you've already got in and it's completely finished. So as you see here, I've got brand new track, the main line there, as well as a spur going over here to the right, the Bell's Best Dog Food Company. And I'm going to pan the camera to the left here. And I've actually, the new turnout, I've actually moved it back further to the left. And so the transition is really smooth. The track level is the same level that the turnout is for several inches before it starts making that transition down. Of course, everything's been wired, tested, the track department signed off on it, so we are good to go. Now, on this, I actually went with a Pico turnout. And I tell you, the last three, I believe it's the last three turnout installs I've done, I've used the Pico Code 83. And I tell you, these are just, for out-of-the-box turnouts, man, they're great. I think they look good. And so far, I've had flawless operation. Matter of fact, I think this is the first brand of turnout that I've had where I've not had to do some minor adjustment. Maybe filing down a rail a little bit, or maybe it was just sticking slightly or whatever. These Picos seem to work great just right out of the box. Now, that doesn't mean like the fourth Pico that I get, I'm gonna have to make an adjustment. But so far, so good. So I'm definitely gonna be sticking with the Pico Code 83 for a while. Now, as you see here, I've still got, I'm gonna kind of zoom in just a little bit here. There we go. I've still got to do the painting the rails, the weathering, the scenery, the ballast, the painting the ties, and all, that kind of stuff. But as I was doing this project, and I was thinking, well, this is, I'm putting in brand new track and a turnout, so why not tell a story? So basically what I'm gonna do, and maybe not this particular boxcar, but anyway, I'm gonna have a boxcar here, maybe another rail car, sitting off to the side. The trucks will be gone. I'm gonna have the area kind of roughed up where like the dirt's been turned up and some of the bushes have been pushed back. And then over to the left, I'm gonna have these piles of discarded old ties, and then maybe a Missouri Pacific work truck or two. So some of you may have guessed of the scene that I'm going for. So basically here, and hang on, I'll add one more thing here. All the ties are going to be painted as a brand new ties, and the ballast is going to be pristine. So if you haven't guessed, what I'm going to do, the scene I'm setting is a section of track or two sections of track rather, in a turnout, that were torn up from a previous derailment. And the track department has just come in, they fixed that, got everything up and running again. There's still a lot of cleanup to do, like, having the old rail car off to the side, piles of discarded ties and stuff like that. So I thought, well, hey, you had to put in new track and a turnout anyway, so why not tell a story with it? So I think it's going to be a fun scene, and once it's set and done, I'll definitely be sharing that with you in a future update. So another area I was kind of tearing up the last update that I did is where I had the old Fort Smith biscuit company. And this is going to be home to a new steel fabrication company. Now, I was kind of surprised, doing the research. There was actually two or three steel fabrication companies in Fort Smith in the area that I modeled. There's actually smaller steel mills. Kind of surprising, but some of these companies are actually still plugging away up there. So this is going to be an outdoor scene, and basically what I'm going to have here is the rails going to be embedded in the asphalt here. This is going to be just kind of an asphalt apron, this whole area here. Now to do that, you have to kind of do some measuring, and you have to do some testing, because you don't want your rail cars or locomotives having issues. So you always want to leave a little bit of gap there for the wheels. But anyway, once it's said and done, we'll have the rail embedded in the asphalt here. I'm going to have what's called a overhead traveling crane that will unload the gondolas and the steel coil cars coming in, and then put them on the side here so they can be taken away for whatever work that the fabrication company needs to do. I'm also going to have some racks and things here. What's interesting is like the Google Earth views that I've seen on the one company that I'm kind of using as a guide, a lot of this steel is sitting outside, so I'm assuming they've put some kind of coating or something like that on there. So anyway, I'm going to have racks where you have in this area here these steel plates and things like that, and of course I'm going to have some smaller outbuildings and things like that. So I think it's going to be kind of a fun scene once it's all said and done. And a couple of the main reasons, I think I told you the last update I did, a couple of reasons I'm doing this is, one, when the Fort Smith Biscuit Company was here, switching was done on this side. You had the building here, so people, when pan the camera to the left, would have to come out, go through the lift up section here, do the switching, and then come back, and once they were done, and re-enter the layout, which wasn't a big deal, but everything else is on the inside of the layout. So I was like, yeah, let's just, let's kind of change it. And another thing too, it gives me an excuse to model another business that was in Fort Smith, and where I can have yet another, an excuse to run another type of car, or cars in this case, in which case will be the covered gondolas and the steel coil cars. So again, one of those, as the scene develops, we'll definitely share that with you in some future updates. And once it's done, I think it's going to be a fun area to switch. So, welcome to OK Feed Mills, Fort Smith, Arkansas. So, my model is not an exact replica of the complex in Fort Smith. It's a very close representation. If you're familiar with the Fort Smith, Arkansas areas, you might recognize this building as one of the landmarks up there. What stands out to most people is kind of that unique logo of the OK Feed Mills Company, with the two toy soldiers guarding the content, and their motto being quality guarded, flavor sealed. So let's take a tour. I'm going to show you what I've done so far. And we're gonna kind of zoom in on this area. My apologies if the camera's a little shaky. So here we have basically the unloading shed and the spur line here. And this will allow up to 3 covered hoppers to be serviced. And then panning the camera to the right here, you'll get an idea of how much room I've got to work with. So I'm going to have additional buildings and things like that, and I'll kind of explain more about what's going in there here in just a little bit. Now, originally what I was going to do is have a second spur. So in this area here, I was going to have a turnout and another spur that would run on the side of the first spur and go up on the side of that unloading shed. Now I'm going to kind of zoom out a little bit. The problem I ran into was not getting the turnout in there, or where the track would not fit, but it just didn't look right to me. The scene with 2 spurs would have looked just very crowded and just like the scene was being forced. So I decided, hey, just go with the single spur. You know, model railroading, sometimes we have to make those tough decisions, and sometimes you know, plans change, and so that's kind of what happened here. But again, even with a single spur, the complex is going to be, you know, see plenty of switching action. I think this will be really, really fun. So most, you know, feed mills and grain bins and, grain elevators, things like that, they see a lot of truck traffic, and the OK Feed Mills is no different. So what I've been able to find is for the OK Feed Mills is, unlike the hoppers, that they would not take out product. They would bring in product. They'd go out empty. But of course, trucks are not only dropping off product, but they would take out product as well. So as I model the 1970s, of course, I'm going to have a vehicle or truck from that era. And so what I decided to go with here is a truck from a company called Burkina, and they make some really cool vehicles. If you model like the 60s, 70s era, it's one of those companies that has a good selection of vehicles from that era. Of course, 1970s, it wouldn't be unusual to see something even back from the 1940s still rolling on the road. So anyway, with this, I have my, I think this particular model was made in the 60s. It's a Peterbilt 261. If I'm getting that designation wrong, somebody knows differently, please put something down in the comments there. But I believe this is a 261. And it would have been one of the trucks you would have seen in the 1970s era. Now, for those that are kind of like horror movies, maybe Steven Spielberg fan, his first movie was called Duel, and so the truck in that movie was a Peterbilt, very similar to this one here. If you haven't seen Duel, I invite you to go out and take a look at it. It's kind of a neat movie. The trailer, this is actually a kit I put together. It's from a company called Lone Star, and I was kind of surprised. I was really having a hard time finding you know, any type of HO scale grain trailer, one that didn't look toy-like. They advertised this one as a late 90s grain trailer, but I've looking at pictures of the grain trailers from the 70s era, doesn't really look that much different, so it works. The one thing, and again, not trying to shy anyone away from Lone Star products, maybe it was this particular model, but I've never had a plastic model where like a small or detailed part would actually disintegrate, not break. Now, you know, I've had that happen. I mean, it happens, but where the part actually just crumbled. The good thing is the rest of the model, I didn't have that issue. These are just the very small, tiny, teeny parts that came with it, you know, like the grab irons and things like that. It could have been that the kit was, and it kind of back up a little bit, it comes in a clear plastic box. So maybe this thing was sitting on the, the hobby shop shelf somewhere where it just got direct sunlight. You know, maybe this particular model's been sitting there for 20 years. Well, I really don't know. The model turned out great. You know, where the grab irons were going to go. on the sides here and in the back. I just basically took a little bit of modeling putty, filled that in. Of course, once I painted and weathered the model, completely disappeared. I'm not really worried about it. And again, it could just be that particular kit, but did want to give everyone a heads up that just be aware if you're looking at going with the Lone Star trailer kit, just be aware that when you're handling those small parts, just take a little extra caution there. And I'd also be interested to know, like anyone who's put these kits together before, if they've run into the same issue that I have where it disintegrates, let me know that. So to move on off my modeling woes subject here, I'm gonna kind of zoom out a little bit, show you the rest of the complex. So the plan is I'm gonna have a crossing here. Well, trucks kind of go back and forth. I've got enough room here where I can have an additional or two semi-trucks parked here. And I think the cabs, I'm gonna go with Burkina, but I think I'm gonna go with maybe like a Mack or something like that. Just kind of just have something different. I've got the room here where I think I can get like a truck scale, because the way way things worked at these types of complexes is you would have trucks that came in and they would weigh them, and they would dump their load, and then they would weigh them again when they were leaving the complex, and that's how much grain they knew that was, or aggregate product that the truck brought in, and that's how they determined the stuff, and they were paid. So here, I'm gonna go move the camera to the right a little bit. Here I'm gonna have a grain, good size industrial grain bin, and it's gonna be connected to a conveyor leg that goes back to this area here. So the conveyor leg is going to come off the main complex. It's going to come down here and it's going to tie in to the grain bin there. The actual complex had several bins and legs, but obviously you don't have the room to model all of that. Originally what I was going to do is the bin was going to be on this side of the complex, and so when I put this together, I left the guardrail off on this side, because the actual complex in Fort Smith, the side where the leg comes off of, there is no rail. You have basically a big steel beam that helps support that grain leg, and then it goes out to several bins in this area. Of course, once started putting things on the layout, I saw, okay, well that's not going to happen. I'm gonna have to put it on the other side, but that's not a big deal either. Basically, I can just carefully remove these handrails. And by the way, these are Tichy Train handrails, and basically just move them from this side to that side. And that way, I can have the steel beam and everything running down here. So once it's said and done, it's still a lot of work to be done. But I think it's going to look really cool. And finally, too, basically the apron is not going to stay this color. This is just a 2mm foam sheet that I have. This is going to be weathered to look like old asphalt. In the actual complex, it looks like you have a combination. It looks like you had what started out as being asphalt, and then that stuff started disintegrating, and so you have areas of gravel, you have, it's kind of a hodgepodge of stuff, and that's kind of the look that I'm going to go with here. But once it's said and done, I think it's going to be a really nice looking area and a fun complex to switch. Okay, so as promised, I'm going to give you a panoramic overview of the layout, and we're going to start out here. I'm going to pan down and give a hello and shout out to the Wagging Tails production crew. Looks like they're deep in conference, probably discussing future episodes. Good job, boys. Keep up that hard work. So here we go. And by the way, I'm on the official Wagging Tails production high camera view platform, and based on our operating budget, it's basically a chair. So that's okay. I'm standing in a chair taking this, and my apologies. I'm holding my iPhone by hand, so if it's a little shaky, I do apologize for that. So to get started, this is the entry to the layout room. And I hate duck unders. If anyone's experienced duck unders, you know what fun they are, especially to your back and your head. So what I've done here is over to the left is a hinge section. So basically this just lifts up on one end, this end here, like a gate. And eventually what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put down like a river scene. This actually represents the crossing of the Arkansas River between Van Buren, Arkansas and Fort Smith, Arkansas. The actual bridge is several spans. Like if I was going to actually do it in scale, all the spans and everything together would be about the length of the layout room, which is roughly 18 feet. So enter the layout here. So I'm gonna come around. And here, of course, this is going to be the area where the steel products are unloaded. I'm working on that now. So, and as we go to the right here, and some of this will probably look familiar to you, we have kind of a store scene, kind of a background of the Fort Smith, Arkansas area there. As we move down here, we have the famous house where the grandkids certainly like seeing the trains roll by. I'm not sure as much as the grandparents. And as you see there, I've got my what I call the family truckster. And if you're familiar with the movie Vacation, you know what I mean by that station wagon there. We have the yellow house, the abandoned house, and of course the crossing. And as we move around here, you can see in the background there, that is the yard. Camera here. The foreground, this is the area that is causing derailment issues and stuff that I've recently repaired and tested, and we're back in action there. And so then we're going to move the camera to the right here, and of course there is the Bell's Best Dog Food. And I'm being kind of careful here looking down so I don't accidentally step off the chair and then go crashing. So there in the background, this is kind of a little fun area I wanted to do. I think I've in a past episode I was telling you about, and I'm going to carefully zoom in on this. There we go, try not to shake it too bad. My wife and I, we kind of have these fun arguments about the Bigfoot legend. I think I told you guys this in one of the past episodes. I think it's just an old hippie guy, long hair, just wants to be left alone. She's like, no, it's real, it's real. So we have these fun debates and stuff. So I thought, how cool, why not just put a Bigfoot museum, a tourist trap? So that's what I got here. I have a tourist trap. I don't know if you can see it. It's a little bit of distance, but I've got like a no-scale Bigfoot I'm put on a platform. I'm gonna have like some cars parked, some tourists and things like that. Panning up, this is kind of my my radio tower, and I think some of you, if you've seen my past videos, I have like LED lights in the tower. It's actually in scale, but because it represents a tower in the distance, it still works pretty well. And I have the blinking lights, to warn low-flying aircraft in that area. So here I'm going to carefully move. Again, I apologize. Here, as I move the camera to the right, you see here we've got the Blues Best Feed Company, and we've got small grain bin, and of course the scene here. Probably see the little guy standing out there. Usually he's my conductor, helping the engine hook up, either dropping off cars or leaving cars at the facility there. Then in the background, I have, this is the Dow Chemical Company, which is basically farm chemicals and things like that, fertilizer and such. And I've actually, the building there, the corrugated metal building, I wasn't real happy in the earlier paint job. You can go back to some earlier episodes and see that. I think I kind of overdid it, so I've recently gone back, repainted it. I use, it's a Tamiya color called Royal Navy Gray, which I think is a really nice gray corrugated color. Lance Mineham, I'm always you know, I go by his advice is never use silver. You know, corrugated metal is gray, so that's what I did. So that's the scene I'm still working on there, and kind of coming to the right. And hey, I haven't slipped off the chair, so that's always good. So we kind of a view break here. And that's the main line, kind of disappears in the trees. You know, so you have it kind of gives the impression of the train actually going somewhere. And to the right here is the Arkansas Coffin Company and the outbuilding, as well as the water tower. And that was a Tichy water train kit. I'm here to tell you, if you've ever put together any Tichy train product, boy, I tell you, it's like when you're through, you're either you've become more of a veteran or you're ready to quit the hobby. These can be kind of tedious or whatever, but the detail is pretty nice. And this actually turned out pretty nice, I think. So as we go to the right here, we have the Ward Cold Storage Company, the original building, and you see where this is kind of added on here over the years here. And of course, the Kroger truck, I found a 70s era Kroger truck. That's the era I model. I certainly remember the saving stamps and the elephant on the side of the truck there. I've actually got a Safeway truck too from that era. It's an old kit I've got to put together. So, all right, so very carefully, again, I apologize for the shaking. I'm actually making sure that I don't accidentally fall off the chair here. There we go. Okay, so coming around here, we've got the OK feed mills, and it's a complex in progress. And then as we come around here, we have just sort of, I'm actually gonna have a bigger station there. This is the Bogard Junction, named after a friend and a Missouri Pacific modeler, incredible modeler. If you, there's an episode I did 3 years ago where I shared his layout. Certainly invite you to go and take a look at that. So this is kind of just a temporary place, and I'm actually gonna have a bigger train station there. So we go to our right, and then of course we have the Fort Smith Biscuit Company. We have the main line here, and kind of explain the, I shouldn't have left that water bottle there, kind of in the way, but you get the idea. So where the line there, you see the track that's closest to the wall. That's gonna have trees that block it. So basically trains, and I'm gonna move the camera to the right, and that track ends on the edge here, and we're kind of back where the area of the bridge. So where I've got some trees down now moving, but around that area is where it ends. And all this is going to be blocked. I'm going to have like hills and trees and things. So it's basically hidden, hidden staging, as well as that curve there that you see. So if you see where the bridge starts on the right, I'm going to kind of move the camera back to the left. This area is also going to be hidden. So this is kind of my hidden staging area here. So basically trains will come around here and enter the junction as well as leaving the junction. So, okay, so we're gonna go kind of back here to the feed mill and kind of end it here. So hopefully that will give you an idea of what the overall layout looks like, sort of the layout of the room there. Well, you see progress on the layout continues, and unlike the last update that I did, I'm officially past the have to situation destruction mode. I'm back in the construction mode, so I'm going to keep moving forward and certainly share with you the progress as I move along here. Hey, I want to just give a shout out, as I do at the end of every episode, my subscribers, and I truly mean this, is a big thank you for the support. I tell you, you're the ones that keep me moving forward, keep me motivated. I've made some really good friendships. You've shared your layouts with me, some incredibly nice layouts. So that's certainly appreciated. And hey, if you're not a subscriber and you like what you see, I certainly invite you to subscribe to my channel. And as always, if you have a model railroad or a railroad related question or tip or comment or what have you, be sure to put it down there in that comment section. I try to answer your questions just as quickly as I can. And so until next time, I'm going to continue to move forward in my layout and hope you do the same. And as always, highball, and we will see you next time.